There's a language that doesn't use words, a rhythm that lives between sentences, in pauses, in the way someone looks at you a beat too long before looking away. Most men never learn to hear it. They wait for certainty, for her to say it outright, to confess, to make it obvious, and by the time they finally recognize what was happening, the moment has already passed. But women who are drawn to someone rarely announce it. They let it unfold in gestures so small they're almost invisible unless you've trained your attention to see. It's in the softness of tone when she speaks your name, in the way her body angles toward you in a group, in how she lingers just long enough to make ordinary seconds feel charged. This language isn't about playing games. It's not manipulation or mystery for its own sake. It's communication through sensitivity, through observation. A woman's subtle actions often reveal more honesty than words ever could. When she begins to feel something real, she doesn't rush to claim it. She observes, she adjusts, she lets connection reveal itself naturally. That's why the man who's attuned, the one who notices without intruding, always seems to get it before everyone else. To hear this language, you have to quiet your own noise. Stop looking for signs that confirm your hopes and start paying attention to the world as it is. The little shifts in her tone, her comfort, her attention, those are her opening the door just slightly. If you walk past it carelessly, she'll close it without a word. But if you see it, if you match her calm with your own, you create something rare. Understanding doesn't require chasing. It requires stillness. That's where connection begins, in the quiet. The first real sign that she's beginning to care isn't wrapped in romance or confession. It shows up in protection. Not the kind you can easily point to or quote back, but the quiet kind that happens when you're not even in the room. Maybe someone makes a small joke at your expense, and she changes the subject without making a scene. Maybe a friend criticizes you, and she responds with balance, softening the edges, reminding them of your better side. It's subtle, the slight tilt of her tone, the way she redirects a conversation before it becomes disrespectful. She doesn't even think about it much, it's instinctive. That instinct says something powerful. She's starting to value how others see you because she's beginning to value how she sees you. When a woman defends you in those small ways, she's not trying to be your savior. She's protecting the image of you she's started to build in her mind, one that's worthy of respect, one she doesn't want others to stain with careless words. That's emotional investment, long before she ever admits it out loud. Most men miss it because they expect affection to arrive with affection, something they can feel directly. But women often begin with loyalty before love, with subtle defense before confession. When you notice her doing it, don't turn it into proof or bragging rights. Don't point it out for validation. Just acknowledge it with quiet awareness. A look that says, "I saw that," that kind of recognition strengthens trust more than any thank you ever could. Because she's not doing it for praise, she's doing it because something in her already feels connected to your name. And when a woman starts protecting your name, she's already letting you in. It often starts so simply you might overlook it. She asks for a small favor, to help move something, to fix a little problem, to give advice on a decision that doesn't seem all that serious. It's not because she can't handle it herself. She probably could. What she's doing is something quieter, more meaningful. She's testing closeness. She wants to see how you show up when the request is ordinary, when there's no spotlight, no grand gesture to impress her. These small moments are her way of measuring your steadiness. She's observing how you respond, whether you follow through, whether you take her requests seriously, whether you handle small things with care or dismiss them as unimportant. When she starts asking you for practical help, it's a sign she's beginning to trust your reliability, not just your charm. She's wondering if you're the kind of man who keeps his word even when it's inconvenient. These favors may look random, but they're deliberate. They're little windows into what partnership would feel like. Every time you show up calmly, every time you help without turning it into a performance, you build quiet credibility. This is the part where a lot of men get it wrong. They think doing small things for her makes them seem weak or too eager, but the truth is, strength isn't in pretending you don't care, it's in showing up without needing to prove anything. When you do what you say you'll do, when you bring competence and calm to simple moments, you build a kind of trust that words can't buy. That's how attraction deepens into respect. A woman doesn't need a man who does everything for her, she needs one who does what he says he will, and does it well. There's a shift that happens when she starts to let you see the small corners of her world, not the polished parts she shows everyone, but the ones built from habit. Maybe she mentions the cafe she always visits on Sunday mornings, or she plays a song she listens to when she's alone. Maybe she casually invites you to join her on a routine errand, or lets you see the space where she works, reads, or thinks. These aren't just invitations to spend time together, they're quiet glimpses into her rhythm, the pace of her real life. When a woman begins to open these everyday doors, it means she's imagining where you might fit, how your presence feels against the background of her normal days. Most people guard their habitual spaces carefully because that's where they live without a mask. The playlist she listens to while cooking, the coffee mug she always reaches for, the park bench where she clears her head, those small consistencies are part of her identity. When she shares them with you, she's not trying to impress, she's revealing comfort. It's her way of saying, I want you to see me without the performance. Your job isn't to make those moments bigger or romanticize them. It's to handle them with quiet respect. Don't overstep, don't treat them like trophies. Just be present. When you meet her softness with steadiness, you become part of her calm. And that's rare, because for many women, peace is not something they share easily. If she lets you into her habits, she's inviting you into her peace. That's the start of something real, not the excitement of a spark, but the warmth of belonging that doesn't need to be announced. If you really pay attention, you'll notice how her voice changes when she talks to you. It's not something she decides to do, it happens naturally, without calculation. Maybe her tone softens slightly, her pace slows down, or her volume drops just enough that you have to lean in a little closer. Sometimes, she laughs a moment longer than the joke deserves, or her sentences drift off like she's leaving space for you to step in. Those shifts are not random. They are signals of comfort and curiosity, of a growing connection she may not yet have words for. The voice carries emotion more honestly than any confession, and when she changes hers around you, it means you make her feel safe enough to let her guard down. Most men miss this entirely because they're too focused on what's being said instead of how it's being said. But tone is where intimacy hides. When a woman starts speaking to you in a slower, gentler rhythm, it's her way of inviting you into emotional proximity. She's opening a quieter space, one that only exists between the two of you. If you rush to fill it with noise, you break it. But if you match her calm, if you listen not just with your ears but with your attention, that space deepens. Don't perform. Don't mirror her tone like a tactic. Just be still enough for her softness to land. The world rarely gives her places where she can relax her voice, so if she finds that in you, understand what it means. It's not seduction, it's trust forming in real time. The man who can sit comfortably in that softness becomes more than someone she talks to, he becomes someone she can exhale with. You'll know something is changing when she starts finding reasons to be close, not dramatically, but quietly, in ways that feel almost accidental. She'll choose the seat beside you when there's space elsewhere. Her shoulder might brush yours and linger for a heartbeat too long. She might lean in during a loud conversation, her voice just close enough for you to feel her breath when she laughs. These moments are never random. They're small calibrations, soft tests of comfort and chemistry. She's not just checking if you're attracted to her, she's checking how you handle proximity, whether your presence feels steady or chaotic, whether being near you feels safe. Most men mistake these subtle touches for chance, or they overreact, either freezing up or becoming too eager. But she isn't asking for a move. She's observing the space between you. If you stay grounded, calm, relaxed, not pushing for more, you teach her that your closeness carries no pressure. That's what makes it powerful. The man who can hold steady energy and closeness becomes magnetic without even trying. Physical nearness is emotional language. A woman won't risk shrinking the distance between her and someone she doesn't trust. So when she does, it's because she wants to feel what being near you does to her nervous system. If she finds peace there, she'll keep returning to it. It's not about the touch itself, it's about the response it evokes. So stay present. Don't lean forward with hunger or pull back in fear. Meet her halfway, calmly. When you do, something wordless passes between you, a shared pulse, a quiet recognition. That's when she starts to associate your presence with steadiness, and steadiness, more than anything, is what draws her closer again. You'll start to notice her interest shift from you to the things that matter to you. It's one of the clearest signs that she's beginning to care in a deeper way. She starts asking about your projects, the work that keeps you up late, the ideas you can't stop talking about. Maybe she offers to help with something small or shows up to support you without being asked. Maybe she connects you with someone who could help or simply checks in to see how things are going. It's not about the task itself, it's about alignment. She's quietly beginning to weave herself into your purpose. When a woman invests in what drives you, she's signaling that she sees you as more than temporary. She's picturing herself somewhere in the landscape of your goals. This isn't flattery or politeness. It's genuine interest. She wants to understand what gives your life meaning because she's imagining what it would feel like to walk beside it. Her involvement might look subtle, a suggestion, a question, a small gesture of encouragement, but it carries weight. She's learning your rhythm, testing whether her energy can move with yours without losing balance. How you respond matters. Don't take her effort for granted or treat it like obligation. Don't turn her support into a scoreboard. Appreciate it quietly, with consistency. Include her without expectation, let her contributions matter without demanding them. When she sees that you respect her presence instead of depending on it, the connection deepens. She doesn't want to carry your world, she wants to believe she can belong in it. The difference is everything. Support becomes intimacy when it's mutual, when two people nurture what the other loves, not to possess it, but to see it grow. One day you'll realize she remembers things you barely remember saying. The small details that slipped past you, the way you take your coffee, the name of a song you mentioned once, the story about your childhood pet, or that random phrase you used in passing. She recalls it all, not because she's trying to impress you, but because she was genuinely listening. Memory, for her, is a form of affection. When a woman starts storing the little things about you, it means you've taken up space in her thoughts even when you're not around. Those details become her way of carrying you quietly into her day, a private connection that exists beyond conversation. Most men overlook this kind of remembering because it doesn't come wrapped in obvious emotion. But remembering is an act of care. It's proof that she's paying attention even when you think you're background noise. She's collecting the pieces of who you are, building a picture from fragments, showing you that she values your essence more than your presentation. That kind of focus is rare, and it should never be taken lightly. When she brings something up that you'd forgotten, don't brush it off or turn it into a joke. Meet it with warmth. A simple "you remembered that" is enough. It acknowledges her effort without making it awkward. What matters isn't the detail itself but what it represents, that she's tuned in, that she's already connected in ways she hasn't yet said out loud. Attention is the foundation of intimacy. When she remembers the small things, she's quietly saying, "You matter to me," and when you respond with equal care, you tell her, "I see you, too." That's where genuine connection deepens, in the details no one else notices. Eventually, she'll start testing you not with arguments or ultimatums, but with subtle, thoughtful challenges. Maybe she teases you about something you take too seriously, or she suggests an experience that nudges you just outside your comfort zone. Maybe she questions an opinion you've always held, not to contradict you but to see how you handle difference. These gentle tests are never about conflict, they're about stability. She's trying to learn if your confidence can hold its shape when pressed, if your calm remains intact when met with resistance. It's her way of discovering the truth beneath your surface, not the man you are when everything's easy, but the one who appears when life asks for balance. A woman who feels something real will test not because she doubts you, but because she needs to trust what's real. She wants to know if you can stand firm without becoming rigid, if you can disagree without disrespect, if you can hold space for her strength without feeling threatened by it. Most men mistake these moments for challenge or disrespect and respond with defensiveness or ego. But what she's really doing is asking, "Can I feel safe here when I show all of me?" The right response isn't dominance or submission, it's composure. Meet her curiosity with calm clarity. If you don't agree, say so, but say it with steadiness. If she pushes a little, stay grounded. That's what earns trust, not by winning, but by staying true without hostility. Consistency is what makes her lean in, because steadiness is rare. When she sees that your strength isn't performance, she begins to relax into it. That's when love starts to anchor, not in perfection, but in presence that doesn't flinch.